So I'm Joel Rubinstein, a partner with White & Case, a law firm. I'm based in New York. Um, One of the leaders of our Israel practice. We've been in the Israeli market for decades. We work on IPOs, M&A, other capital markets transactions. And we're also particularly proud of representing the State of Israel itself. We represented the State of Israel in its recent bond offering, raising $8 billion. So it's quite a diverse practice. My partner, John Reese, who was also supposed to join me today, is not, so I will try to do this solo. I hope what I say is not at all repetitive, although there are obviously some themes that come here. I actually just landed back from Israel this morning. Flying El Al was delayed overnight, so spent the evening in Ben Gurion overnight. But I want to talk today about how U.S. business organizations have reacted to the current hostilities and what we can all do and what we see going forward. I think we've heard a lot about how some of the investors here have thought about things, but really there are a wide range of U.S. companies that do business in Israel. Obviously, just mentioning it right there, airlines, take that for example. Right now there are no U.S. airlines flying into Israel. If you want to fly to Israel directly from the United States, you have to fly El Al. And so that has its positives and its challenges, let's just say. But you do see that there's a lot of skittishness among certain types of businesses. Obviously, there's a lot of other considerations with airlines, insurance, et cetera. But the bottom line is the U.S. and Israel have had, as everybody knows, a very long-standing and deep business relationship. The United States being the first country to recognize Israel. Israel has been the United States' most reliable partner in the Middle East. And since October 7th, the United States has taken a leading role in supporting Israel. And by and large in the United States, I think what we've seen is that the business community at large has been strongly supportive of Israel. But people have noted right away there was a very big difference between the way businesses spoke about the Ukraine-Russia situation and Israel. There was a lot of very vocal statements, ads put out when you talk about the Ukraine situation, and we don't really see that as much here when it comes to the Israel situation. I think most leaders of U.S. businesses do want to do the right thing, and when I say the right thing, I mean supporting Israel in this unfortunate war that it's found itself in. But the bottom line is when you have large, diverse organizations with different constituencies, particularly those that have a very wide geographical spread, you have a lot of different constituencies you have to deal with. We've definitely seen some outspoken business people, particularly certain leaders of hedge funds, private equity funds who've been really out there, speaking about Israel in a very full-throated way. But some of those people are able to do that because of their unique situation, and also a lot of those organizations are based here in New York. They're limited-sized places, and they can do that. But when you start talking about larger organizations, there are a whole bunch of other constituencies that come into play, and the issue is really how they deal with things. We saw recently Google, when they felt like people crossed the line in what they were doing, they then, they saw that people were impeding access to the facilities, et cetera. They fired 28 people. So you do see larger organizations taking action at certain times. We obviously see what's going on in college campuses. They have a whole other set of considerations going on. But I think the bottom line is when you think about investing in Israel, particularly if you're with a larger organization, the question is how do you deal with continuing to support Israel, to invest in Israel, but also deal with what your organization is. And I think White & Case is a good example of that. We are a firm of 2,600 lawyers. We're in 30 countries and 44 offices. We represent the state of Israel. As I mentioned before, we do work for a lot of other Israeli companies and companies investing in Israel. But at the same time, we have significant offices in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Oman, Qatar. Saudi Aramco has been one of the biggest clients of White & Case for decades. And so that's given us a lot of opportunities, obviously with the warming ties between the Gulf states and Israel. But, you know, and I'm speaking for myself and not the firm, there are a lot of constituencies within the firm when you think about that, both from a client base as well as the people who work for us. And so that has to be dealt with. And so there are a lot of complexities that you have to deal with when addressing those situations, and not everyone's going to be happy. But I think the key right now, I think for us, for me personally, and other people who work in these kinds of organizations, is to really step up, make your voices heard. Things can change very quickly. Right now, I think we're seeing that underneath it all, there's a lot of support for continuing to invest in Israel and in Israeli companies, but things can change very quickly. And I think it's important for all of us who do work within these large organizations to really step up, make our voices heard. Obviously, what you've heard is that the technology in Israel is really something people can't find anywhere else. Cybersecurity, things like that. We represent, U.S. companies represented CrowdStrike recently in buying Bionic, which is a cloud security company, which is a significant deal. So we do see strategic U.S. companies doing that. But I guess my exhortation for everyone here is none of us can really be complacent. And, you know, you've got to get out of your comfort zone and step up within your organization, within things like this, you know, coming and supporting these sorts of things. And I think that that's really how we'll be able to continue to support Israel and move investment forward. Thank you very much.